Hey everyone, my name is Atharva and today we are solving a Leetcode problem, that is we want to find the maximum sum in the sub array. So let's see how we can solve this problem. So basically the sub array means the sub part of an array. So this is a sub array, then the minus 3, then the minus 3, 4, minus 1 is also known as a sub array. The 2 is also sub array, and the entire array is also known as a sub array. Now we need to find the maximum sum in the sub array. In this case, the maximum sum from the 4 till 1, which is the 4 plus minus 1 plus 2 plus 1 is equal to 6, and this is the maximum sum. Then we can take another subarray, which is minus 2 and 1, which is minus 2 plus 1 equal to minus 1. And then we can take another subarray, which is from minus 3 till 1, which is minus 3 plus 4 plus minus 1 plus 2 plus 1, which is equal to 3. Then from these three cases, the maximum sum is 6. So this will be our answer. So to solve this problem, the extremely brute force solution will be to find the sum of all the subarrays, and then we can store in a max variable, and then we can return. But for this we need to use the two for loop. In this case, the time complexity will be the bigger of n square. So we need to solve this problem in the single iteration. So to solve this problem, we will be using the Kadane's algorithm. So this algorithm state that we need to calculate the sum of the subarray, and if the sum is becoming negative, then we want to assign the sum equal to 0. So let's see how this algorithm is working. For this, firstly we will assign a two variable. So firstly we will create an max variable. In this we will store n minus 1, and then we will create a sum. Okay, and the sum will be 0. Then we will create a sum to calculate the sum of the sub array. So now we are at index 0, which is minus 2. Then we can calculate the sum, that is the sum will be, so our sum will be minus 2, and in this case the sum is becoming negative, then the sum will be equal to again 0. And then we will move our pointer to front, which will point to 1. Now the sum will be 1. Okay, which is a positive element. And then we will just uh, add a comparison. If the element in the max is less than the element in the sum, then in the max we will store the current value of sum, which is 1. And then we will move our pointer to front, which is minus 3. So the 1 minus 3, that is the 1 minus 3 is equal to minus 2. Then again our sum is becoming negative, then we will again assign a sum equal to 0. And in this case the max element is 1, and the sum is equal to minus 2. So we will not store the variable of a sum in the max. Okay, and then we will again start from 4. Now we'll store the 4 in the sum, and the element in the max, which is 1, is less than the element in the sum, which is 4. Then we will store, then in the max we will store the 4. Then we will again calculate the sum. Now the 4 minus 1 is equal to 3. Then we will store the 3 in the sum. So now we will move forward, and then our pointer will point to 2. So the 3 plus 2 is equal to 5. Then we will store the 5 in the sum, and in this case the 4 is less than, that is the element in the max, that is 4 is less than the element in the sum, which is 5. Then we will store the 5 in the max, and then again we will move forward, which is 1. Then again the 5 plus 1 will equal to 6. Then we will store the 6 in the sum, and in this case the max element will be also 6. And then again we will move forward, which is minus 5. So the 6 minus 5 is 1, and we'll store the 1 in the sum. And now in this case, the 6 is not less than the 1, then we will not store 1 in the max. Okay, and then we have 1, and then 1 minus 4 is equal to minus 3, and we'll store the minus 3 in the sum, and then we will make sum again equal to 0, because the value in the sum is less than 0. So because the value in the sum become negative, so sum will be 0 and our for loop will end. And now our loop will end, and then we will and at last we will get our answer, that is 6, and the 6 is the maximum sum in this whole subarray. Okay, now let's see the pseudocode for this. Okay, now let's see the pseudocode. So firstly we'll create a variable max, which will be having the value like integer dot minimum value, and then we will create an sum which will be equal to 0. Now we need to run a for loop from 0 to the length of an array minus 1, which will be 0 to n minus 1. Okay, uh, in this case the n is equal to the length of an array. Now and now the sum will equal to the sum plus the array at index I. So now we are adding the current element in the sum, and if the sum is greater than the max element, then the max is equal to the sum. Okay, and if the sum is less than the 0, which in this case, if our sum become negative, then we will make sum equal to 0, and then we will again calculate the sum of the next subarray. Okay, and by this we can end our for loop. So for this, the time complexity will be big of n, and the space complexity will be constant, as we are not using any extra space to solve this problem. We are using only the two variable which is having an constant value. So now let's see the code of the maximum sub array. Okay, we are using a two variable, that is sum and max, and the max will point to the first element of the array, or else you can assign a minus 1 to max, or you can assign a integer dot min also to max. We need to just store the minimum value in the max, so you can store any value, means any minimum value like minus 1 or integer dot min or the first element of the array. Okay, in this case, like the 1, the first element is only the maximum element, or if you assign a minus 1, then also in the for loop it will assign a 1 to a max. Okay, now we are using a for loop where we are starting from 0 to length of array, and then we are just adding the current element in the sum, and then we are just storing the maximum element, that is math.max, between the sum and max. Okay, and if our sum become negative, then we will assign a sum equal to 0, and after that we are returning a max. So let's see it is working or not. Okay, it is working. I hope you understand the solution, and if you understand, then please subscribe to my channel and like the video, and bye.